Hey, welcome back. I'm TJ. Today we're talking about the Quark Stabilizer 2 from Noir Matter, and yes, it is on the iFlight ProTech 35/6S version. That video is coming, I promise. I've had it for a few weeks, but we got the Quark Stabilizer 2 in over the weekend, and I needed to test it out. Now, I do a lot of airplane chasing. If you don't know that, I do a lot of it for this channel, but also other channels out there on occasion. So with the airplane chasing, especially if I'm kind of strafing beside the airplane, getting that cool shot as we're coming down the runway, or if it's inverted and I'm right beside of it, makes for really awesome shots. I don't know how this is going to work out for that. While we're talking about this, I literally haven't flown this at all. So we're going, well, okay, I've flown the quad. I haven't flown it with the stabilizer yet. So we're going to experience the stabilizer together. I'm really curious to see how it's going to work. So we're going to do a few different types of flying. So for me, with a cinewhoop, it's made for slow, smooth flying, getting those cool shots, and it's cinewhoop. It's cinematic, so getting those cinematic shots. So this, I'm hoping that it works really well to keep out any kind of horizontal shift, and you get even better footage with it. And then I do want to try, so I typically film 4K 60 when I'm chasing an airplane, so I have the option of slowing it down. And then I want to do the 2.7 with real steady, combine that with the stabilizer to see exactly how buttery the footage can look. I am concerned, so the stabilizer weighs 140 grams by itself. So obviously adding weight to the quad is going to lessen your flight time. It's going to drain your battery faster. You've heard my voice a lot at this point. Now let's just go grab some batteries, controllers, goggles, and go outside and just fly this thing around the parking lot. So we'll see you outside. We've got, the iFlight ProTech with the gimbal. We're going to do the first. So this first video is 4K, just with hyper smooth on using the gimbal, because kind of want to see what it does. Now, a few key features: it is 140 grams like we said. It does have a time-lapse mode where you can actually loosen the nut up on the camera, stand it vertically, and it will do the little spin thing. You can do, it says fly times like 2 to 4 hours, so call it 3 hours, with a 1 hour charge time. So pretty cool. I mean, if you're like me, I don't fly that long ever, but this is, I mean, it's doing its job right now, right? Looks pretty cool. So it is heavy. It turned this really heavy quad into an even heavier quad. I've got the battery pushed back a little bit. Actually, let's move that back a little bit more, because that's one of the things, is there's so much weight up front now that at least we want to try to keep it as balanced as we can. So I mean, it's a little bit nose heavy still. So it just means the front motors are probably going to get a little bit warmer than the back motors, but we could talk about it all day. Let's just plug it in and fly it. So she is loud. So I did put the HQ props on it, so it's not taking more throttle than I expected. Like, I'm still right now kind of cruising around 30% throttle or so. I do see the little screw thing that's holding the GoPro on in my FPV footage, but not like that matters. So this iFlight ProTech, again, this is not the review video for it, but it's not having issues with this at all. See if Dan can get some. Doing a little bit of hard maneuvers there to see if we can get it to mess up. We'll get an orbit going here real quick and see, because I've got the quad tilted probably 40 degrees, 30 degrees, maybe 45 degrees. Going around this rock. Let's see what the GoPro has to say about it. So yeah, battery's a little warm. Motors are warm, but they're actually not hot.
Telemetry lost.
So it handled it pretty good. So next thing is, let's switch the battery out. We got about 4.5 minutes on that battery. So the one thing we do want to test later is, when we're doing the actual review, is kind of how much does that. Oh, okay. So one thing I'm not sure about is, when we landed just now, the stabilizer was tilted forward a little bit.
So I don't know if that happened when we landed or as we were flying around, if it happened to shift in air. So we're gonna put it back about where I think it was to begin with. Let's turn the gimbal off for now. So gimbal's off. And we're gonna change the camera settings over to the 2.7 so we run it through real steady. Just wanna see how that changes it. We'll do kind of the same style flying. One thing I was trying to check was like doing the orbits around the rocks. I wanted to see what the stabilizer made that look like, you know, with being able to keep the horizon level. So let's put a new battery on it, change the GoPro settings. And one feature I do like about this is if you do want to change your settings, you just loosen up a little nut, you can flip your camera forward and do it all right here, real quick and easy, put it back, don't have to take anything apart. So that's pretty awesome. So let's grab a new battery. All right, so we landed, the gimbal was tilted forward, so took a break, went inside, tightened the gimbal up, so now literally it's not gonna move. It's gonna break off before it does anything. Now what we're gonna do is do the format that we need for real steady and just fly around, and kind of want to see what the combination of the gimbal and real steady does, which I assume is going to be really awesome. Now real steady does have the horizon level ability, but if you do that, it crops in the footage a lot, so it's not recommended to do that. This should give us the best of both worlds. So enough talking, let's get flying. The biggest thing I want to do with this battery is kind of fly around, do some sharp turns to see how the gimbal stacks up. Like, does it keep up? Just weaving in and out of the trees and kind of around the rocks and everything. Nothing crazy, still kind of what you would expect from a cinewhoop, but instead of getting the harsh angles that I'm banking at, it should take all of those out. Got a little bit of gusty wind that keeps picking the cinewhoop up when I try to go around those rocks. All right, so back out in front of the truck, GoPro hard mounted to the quad, but the goal is we're gonna run this through real steady, and I wanna see what it looks like with the horizon lock on. And immediately, ton of extra thrust, but we already knew that, that's no surprise. You take 140 grams off of something that probably weighs 700 grams or so, and you're gonna get faster movement, you're gonna get more response, but it's not necessarily what we need anyway if we're doing like cinewhoop stuff indoors and trying to get that really smooth footage. So just like at last flight, I'm just going to kind of rip it around to get a good baseline of really harsh angles. To get orbit here going. So if you didn't know, the way real steady works is like for the horizon lock, it finds where the horizon is and then it just kind of moves the square. So if you're, you know, a 90-degree angle, it's going to try to rotate that square to keep the horizon level. So in order to do that, you're going to lose a lot of the footage on the corners to make that actually happen. So the mechanical ability of the stabilizer, I know, is going to win because it's going to give us a lot more footage to use, but, you know, hey, we have options, right? All right, that's not bad. So right off the bat, without even looking at anything, we saved about a minute of flight time. So I got 5 minutes, 20 seconds or so out of that flight just now. So that's, what, 25% more flight time because we took the stabilizer off. So it's easy to figure, you know, if you need stabilized horizon footage to use the stabilizer. If you need more flight time, obviously less weight. But at that point, maybe using something like a naked GoPro or a smaller HD camera to where you're going to get even more flight time. But yeah, so otherwise, let's go back in the shop and we'll talk about it.
All right, so the Quark Stabilizer 2 from Noir Matter, it's a one-axis gimbal. It keeps, you know, the horizontal shift out of your footage. Does it do it? Yeah. Does it do it well? Actually, yeah. So with the 4K hyper smooth footage that we did with the GoPro, this thing was awesome. That's what I'm going to use it for. I'm not going to run it through real steady. While the footage with real steady and the stabilizer looked great, it did its job, it had an extra step. You had to run it through real steady to get that footage out. So I don't want to do that. You know, I'm lazy, And if I can pull the footage straight off the GoPro and it looks really, really good, that's what I'm doing. Now the footage that was with the GoPro stuck to the drone, no stabilizer, and it was the horizon lock with real steady, yeah, that doesn't have a place in my opinion. That's more gimmicky. Now if you are very mindful of how you're flying and you're trying not to have any horizontal shift in your quad while you're flying around, I could see that being something you'd use just to help smooth it out even more. But if you're like me and you don't want to worry about flying a certain way, you can use this, and it's going to help get that footage even smoother, especially on a cinewhoop, and that's what I'm going to use this for. So Noir Matter, awesome job on this. Can't wait to use it some more in actual settings. So thank you again. Guys, if you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button, get notifications coming so you can see when we're talking about cool products like this. And otherwise, like the video, leave us a comment, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.